Hello, everybody. The Worm is here with more Raging Loop. Last time we pretty much completed what we set out to do. We got Mamiya-san a room at the dorm. We got Hashimoto-san a room in, well, we got him the prefab. We went to Kyo. We got the key. He was generous enough to give it to us, so I think that shows a bit of his character there. He's, not he's not completely, what would you say, arrogant and above it all. He can be reasonable. I think that's the important bit. We also got to meet everyone else. We met the kids. I say kids. We met the high school students. We met the old man. I think we're pretty much caught up with everything. We spent the rest of our time helping out Kaori. And I think that's pretty much it. We're probably going to head into the night now, so that's both exciting and nerve-wracking. We did have a few choices last time, but obviously they were blocked by keys. So I'm very interested to see. We've been going for quite a while, so I'm not sure if this is necessarily a bad end or anything, but it's interesting that we've had 2 in a row now with that. So yeah, okay. So let's continue on. I think we've had a very sort of calm and peaceful atmosphere for quite some time, and I think that's about to end. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, saying Kaori was thanking us for what we were doing, and specifically we were putting together like plates and glasses, fixing it, and that all that stuff was thrown out from Kama Fujiyoshi, and Yasumizu gets the scraps, so we were helping her with that. Yeah. After helping with the dinner preparation, I was mostly done for the day, so I was free to take a breather. It was almost 5 p.m. I hadn't been keeping track of time on the previous loop, but the mist had to appear soon. Needless to say, I was slightly tense. Not having anything better to do, I went outside. I looked up at the sky. The evening sun bathed everything in a red hue. This was probably the last time I'd see the mountain in the distance. No, this time I would survive until the mist cleared. Then, I would look at this with the one dear to me and leave this place for good. As I gathered my resolve.
Hello,
Mako. I suddenly heard an off-key singing voice. It completely deflated the tension of the scene.
Oh.
I could see Mako running through the plaza. She'd clearly noticed me. Uematsu-san was right behind her.
Sayaki-san!
That wasn't my name.
Haruaki da yo.
Fusaishi-san. Otsukaresama desu.
Ooh, she was able to do it. We know she was having trouble not saying sama, so that's progress.
まだまだ元気ですよ。
頼もしいです。夕飯前に少し下の原っぱを見に行こうかと。
Oh, just like last time, huh? If I recall, we would see her by the graves and by what I assume is the hanging tree. I'd been busy fixing my bike here, so I hadn't even noticed them go down.
下に原っぱがあるんですか？
はい。本当を言えば墓地なんですが。
お墓ですか。何があるんです？ああ、そういえば植松さんの服装は仏教のものにちょっと似ていますね。もしかして供養もされてるとか？
はい。植松は 葬儀の家でもありましたから、葬式仏教も混じっているかも。
So, Mami-san was right. Bedroom woman servants, was it? Perhaps they protected not only dreams, but also eternal sleep, the peace of the dead.
血筋が細くなって実務が行えなくなった後は身車様にお任せしていますけれど。
Huh. You know, we keep hearing about the Miguruma, and it makes me, you know, it makes it harder to believe that we haven't met one yet, or that we're not gonna meet one. You know, it seems strange that we have representatives of all of them except that one. I think I joked and said that the old man was one, but you know, I could believe something like that. But it's not like there are no more Miguruma. They're still established in Kama Fujiyoshi, right? It's just we don't see any.
それでも休みずに済むようになってからはその墓の供養はしている？
自分ではそのつもりです。ただ今は。
But this time, you're not going to do anything mist-related, are you?
何です？
ちょっと気になって。
About what? She looked toward the direction of Saranaga again. Perhaps she could feel the coming of the mist with her skin? I heard that sensitive people could sense incoming weather changes by differences in pressure and humidity alone.
何か起きるんです？
いいえ、気のせいだと思います。
Uematsu-san leaned on the pillar supporting the well's roof. Apparently, she'd decided against going to the field. Realizing this, Miko started playing around.
子供は元気ですね。
Oh, they are, yes.
はい。皿長から迷い込んだということで、皆怖がっていましたが、明るい子でよかったです。
どんな事情があったのでしょうね。
どこかの山で無理心中か何かを逃れてきたのかもしれませんね。
Wow, okay. That is very dark. What leads you to say that? That seemed likely, goodness. Takumi-san had mentioned last time that lots of suicidal people gathered here. Yeah, but a child?
しかし、どうして上？
I was about to ask why she was the one to take care of her, but then I remembered something. She took in the corruption. That was one of the roles she was expected to fulfill. It felt wrong to me, but I didn't know what I actually had a problem with. Meiko's parents? The locals who treated her like filth? Or perhaps the customs and superstitions that caused it?
くるりらひらひらひりらきりたあった。
斬新な歌ですね。上富士吉でも放送で聞いたな。
I'd actually heard it here last loop, but whatever.
我らを生かすこの山、神内山の化身、神内明神様の教えを歌った古い歌です。
Let me check something real quick. Let me just check. Real quick. No, okay. Never mind. We're good.
神内山のお守りはひかがちふましらみからすよくも。
Should we ant singing out of nowhere?
ゆ 切り立てば宴の支度いついつむちなもなれもて走る
Her clear voice vanished into the wind, passing by this empty plaza. However, I could hear it very well.
怪しよみびとけがらえり
The tone of the song suddenly changed.
怪しよみびと泣きにせん
Her singing now brought out feelings of unease.
くくれやひとひにひとり切り立った
Hello? An ice cold voice cut her off. I looked up the source and a chill went down my spine. It was Chiemi, covered in the red of the evening, as well as the red of blood. Her whole body was covered in blood.
お疲れ様です
Is it a fake out?
疲れました
Huh?
芹沢さん、それどうしたの？
ああこりゃ失礼しましたいきなりだったらビビるよねそりゃ
Faking me out game. She gave me a broad grin.
獅子の解体をされてたのかと
Horror game doing horror game stuff. Yes, yes, thank you.
当たりです朝に肝臓じいちゃんが仕留めたのが大物でね筋やら骨やらごっついのなんの
Oh yeah, Takumi-san had told her to help Kanzo-san.
すごいですね。芹沢さん、解体なんかできるんですか？
まあ慣れですよ慣れ
っていうか、その普段着が血まみれでいいんですか？
引っかぶる気はなかったんだけどちょっと手が滑っちゃって
A bit, huh?
まあ全く同じ着替え持ってきてるからいいんですけどね
She laughed and it made her look even scarier.
というかちえみでいいですよ敬語とかもいらないです今のリカ子さんいえ
It clearly was.
じゃあちえみちゃん、僕のことも春秋と呼んでよ。話し方もタメ語で結構。
あ、本当ですかじゃあ春秋さんご飯の時にでも身の上話とか聞きたいな
Ooh, he already ate.
ちなみに、もしかして今晩は獅子肉のご相伴に預かれるのかな？
もちろん今日はごちそうだ、
やったぜ。楽しみですね、植松さん。
Maybe she knows we already ate?
リ
What?
リカ子とお呼びください
Ooh. Taking a step herself.
リカ子さん？
What kind of response was that?
なんでしょう春はあるはら
Aruhara.
春秋様
And so she retreats. She was about to call me by some weird name, but she somehow managed to actually get my real one right. Problem being that she called out to me, but didn't actually have anything to say. Oh boy. Oh. And what's your problem, Chiemi-san?
春秋さんよかったら獅子の解体見学しに来ないでっかい狩猟ナイフでブッシュ肉を断つよ
Whoa, that kind of invitation would have weirded out anyone normal, but me, I was actually intrigued.
春明様、
はい。
あちらへ行きませんか？
Ooh, Rokako wants to go along.
どちらへ？
墓場へ。
Oh my goodness. Game, are you gonna make me choose? Invitation even freakier than the previous one. It felt like she'd take me straight to the land of the dead. Well, that was interesting in its own way.
リカ子さん、あんな原っぱで何するつもりですか？
芹沢様こそ血の宴などけったいな。いくら安水の務めとはいえ、血は汚れにつながるのですよ。
リカ子さんこそエッチいことはバッチいことですよ。
何をご想像されてるの？別に私はそのようなことは。
そんなこと言ってリカ子さん結構むっつりっぽいからな。
Oof. Chiemi continues the assault.
そんな。
Does Rokako retreat?
大丈夫。男子はみんなエッチなお姉さんが大好きだから。でも残念、エロパワーでもちえみさんはリカ子さんを超えるから。
そんなずるいです。
Oof.
君ら、何言ってるんですか？
Be careful, Haruaki. This is... You're getting in between a duel here.
さゆきさん、持って持って。
It would appear to be so, Meiko.
なんだって？
メイコ、一体何を。
あ、リカ子さん脱落？じゃあちえみもらっちゃおっかな。
そんなうまい話が。
割と好みですよ。春明さんがこっち住むなら里帰りする楽しみができたかな。
So, I had a chance with Chiemi in this route too, huh? Just coming out and saying it, huh?
あ、芹沢さんがいない間、チャンスだらけ。
Wow. That's like the most forward thing she's said.
なんと、それはまずい。
And with Rokako-san too.
メイコちゃん、かけっこしようぜ。
Haruaki, we've taken the wrong turn. We're no longer in a horror VN. We're in somewhere else. Uh-oh. I ran around with her like I was a kid, her own age again. As much as I enjoyed them having a cat fight over me, I knew that we were almost out of time. A dense mist began flowing into the plaza.
嘘だろ。
My tone was a bit forced, but no one paid any heed.
みんな、霧が出た。
Chiemi's loud voice flung everyone into a frenzied panic.
ばあちゃんは家に入った。おやっさんは
年寄り扱いしてんじゃねえ。シー、ガキどもを連れて寮行け。
春明さん、
案内は。
わかった。頼みます。春明さん、これが安水の霧。バカバカしいかもしれないけど、絶対に手順は守って。
Now we got it, it's okay.
あ
これが噂のノーム。本当に出会えるとはラッキーかも。
機材に悪そうだな。
Yeah, you guys need to get moving too.
それどころじゃないんです。部屋があってよかったわ。すぐにそちらへ逃げてください。
間宮さん、こっちだから。カメラマンさんは。
俺が行く。プレハブだろ。おっさん来い。転ぶなよ。
そんな焦らなくても。
There might be a bit of a need. I couldn't help but worry.
来る。狼が来る。
At the edge of my fading vision, I saw the old man mutter that and walk off.
メイコ、春明様、嫌な予感が当たったようです。
What were you thinking?
霧が出たら、家に閉じこもるんでしたっけ？
みそぎ、物意味、夢枕。 宴の支度。必ず3つお守りください。
体拭いて鍵かけて寝る？
そう。ご飯は明日まで待ってね。
うん、わかった。
掟を守れば今日は誰も死なない。
どういうことですか？
今日は宴の支度。明日からの宴に備えて支度せぬものを神内明神はもう言ってください。
Rikaku-san took Mako in her hands and took a step back. That alone made her face less clear. Excuse me.
必ず支度をして明日また会いたいから。
必ず守ります。
I shouted that right before her face vanished. She clearly liked me. So much that she was almost crying. She probably assumed I wouldn't believe her and thought I'd be a pile of gore tomorrow. Not a chance. I knew how serious this was, and understood the depth of their fear and despair, and on top of it all, I wanted to help them. I wanted to reassure them by making that all too clear. Let me see. Okay. I've made my way carefully downhill to my hut. Unlock, enter, lock. Oh man. I felt so much safer than last time. After all, I could actually lock up and had a decently sized space that was protected from the mist, and I had a nice place to lie down. I'd made it this far. That alone was a strong sign I was doing way better than before. I turned on the light. I actually had electricity here. Well, I'd had it in the dorm last time, too. All that was really cut was the telephone wires to the dining hall. Weird to think that mist and severed phone wires were enough to create a closed circle like this one. Even weirder that I actually came back here of my own volition. Well, you didn't really have a choice. I reached into the bag at the corner of the room and opened the yellow box of food. It was probably unfair to everyone else, but I needed the energy. I'd have a hell of a time tomorrow. After my half-assed excuse for a dinner, I took the wet towel from the pail and washed my body. I then checked if the door was really locked. All that was left was to spread out the futon and sleep. Could I, though? After all, I had so many things on my mind. Okay. Recap time. Let's do this, shall we? Wait, how about... let's get a nice drink of water real quick. Okay. Here we go. First, the things I'd learned today. I found out I could change how things went down. This time I, somehow, succeeded in becoming an inhabitant here and saved the journalists. I had no idea if this would make things better than last time, but it was clear things were different. That alone was big. Had to be. Also, I had a feeling there was at least one Yasumizu inhabitant who'd experienced a feast before. This wasn't that new, but now I felt like the elders weren't the only suspects. Takumi-san could have experienced one too. Which, I did see there were a few comments by other people about this. And, if we go back to the very first feast, I've mentioned this in the last episode, I think. Takumi-san's comments on the very first feast, the first night, the first feast, they don't really match with someone who has experienced one before. And then he did the thing where he, exposed his role, if that was someone who was experienced in the feast before, would he have taken those steps, or would he have really spoken like that, I guess is the thought. I mean, would he just be putting on an act? What would the purpose of that be? Yeah, I don't know. It is just strange, the idea that if mists happen at all, they're gonna the whole town's just gonna do this whole Feast of the Yomi purge and hang a few people. It seems pretty crazy. So for where I'm at right now, I'm thinking Takumi hasn't experienced one. But I will freely acknowledge that we have heard from several places now that there was a mist-based incident that Takumi-san took part in with the construction site. So, yeah. So even if I'm wrong, that's understandable to me. Tomorrow, I could probably ask if there was a mist before, and I could actually make it sound natural. Yes, that'd be nice. The settlement's history was just as deserving of an investigation as its customs and superstitions. And Rikako Uematsu. She might have actually been way weirder than I first thought. She fell often and went nuts when you just called her by her name. Despite her weirdness, though, there was a certain charm to her. She was kinda like a fancy-looking restaurant that you were afraid to go into, but when you mustered the courage, it turned out to be unexpectedly cheap and sold simple yet nice flavors, making you really attached to it. But, objectively speaking, it felt like she was actually attracted to me. But why? Did our first meeting leave that much of an impression? Not that I minded the attention, but this seemed a little too good to be true. Whatever the case, I'd formed a bond that I certainly didn't expect last time. Assuming I solved this whole mystery, what would I do next? Following through on my lie and actually living here would upset too many parties, so that was a no. And if I left here someday, what would become of my relationships? Rikako-san didn't look like she'd ever leave this place. What about Chiemi? Why was I counting my chickens before they hatched anyway? I did appreciate that Chiemi actually liked me this time, too. I wasn't much help to her last loop, so I was kind of fixated on saving her in this one. But there was another way to look at this. That was a feeling born of a trip through hell with her last time, standing by her until the end. But the Chiemi from back then wasn't the same as the Chiemi from this loop. Really? You saw those tears and come to that conclusion? Huh. I'm not sure I agree with that, Haruaki. That's... Okay. Any feelings I had for the previous Chiemi had nothing to do with this one. There's nothing more hollow than chasing after unrequited feelings, right? I'd had enough of thinking about that. It just made me feel empty inside. Time to review more important things, like the previous roles. Takumi Mura was the snake, Shigemochi Kamoshida and Meiko were the monkeys, Yasunaga Oribe and Tai Yamawaki were the wolves. Those were the only clear ones. Now for the rest. Since the spider was supposed to protect the snake Takumi-san, who died on the second day, it was safe to assume that it was someone who died on the first. That was either Kanzo Makishima or Yoshitsugu Oribe. And I was pretty sure it was the former, yes, because of how he behaved during the feast, right? I had no guesses for the crow, though. That guardian really didn't get a chance to turn in... Beg your pardon. That guardian didn't really get a turn in the spotlight last time. There was only one standard lynching, after all. In fact, there were far more abnormal deaths. Though, I had no idea if those were or were not covered by the crow's power. To tell if a lynch victim was a wolf or not. If they were, then perhaps the crow was waiting for the chance to come out, but all who died were humans, and eventually they were out of the game. Or maybe it was someone who couldn't make good use of the power at all. Assuming Kanzo-san was a spider, then I had 7 suspects for the crow. Yoshitsugu Oribe, Haru Makishima, Chiemi Serizawa, Rikaku Uematsu, Kinosuke Misato, Kaori Oribe, and the Old Wolf Guy. First, Yoshitsugu-kun. Honestly, I felt like he'd reveal himself as an owner of the Guardian way before Takumi-san would. He was reckless and impulsive after all. Kinosuke seemed like the type to proudly reveal that he had the crow. It was his family's guardian beast after all. Or maybe he was using it to gather information on his own, so he could pull out a bunch of his own deductions all at once. No, he wasn't that stupid, surely. Also, he was given free rein until the wolves got to him on the final day. He'd had ample time to do something. Then, Haru Makishima. She'd betrayed the humans and sided with the wolves despite the fact that it wouldn't save her life. Needless to say, that seemed insane. The Great Lord Shinai came to her in a dream and told her the truth? What the hell? Who'd die for that? Was there some other way to create madness? A method to create a murderer? Was there something, anything besides what Yasunaga-kun mentioned? I had no idea, but if there was, I really didn't think anyone with a guardian would fall victim to it. If Chiemi was the crow, I would hope she'd have confided in me about it. Kaori Oribe? I had no idea. She'd been the only one killed the conventional way last time, but was never really given a chance to speak up. Even if she was, it's possible she'd chosen to keep silent and focus on killing everyone for her son. Or she'd tried to become a shield for him. The old wolf guy made no sense at all. If he had gotten a guardian, it likely would have just gone to waste. Finally, Rikako-san. I had no idea what to expect from her. I don't know if Haruka ever got told this, but let us recall that it was she and Mochi who were actually the ones who guessed, well, maybe not guessed, but they were able to suss out the two wolves between them. Mochi said Tai, and Rikako said Yasunaga. And both of them didn't have solid reasoning. Or, no, they had reasoning. They didn't have solid evidence, but they each had somewhat good reasoning, I feel. So, I expect good things from her and Mochi. She was the only descendant of the Uematsu family and their current head, so perhaps she knew some secrets known only to the family heads. I would definitely believe that. However, from what I'd observed of her today, it really did seem like she just had a bad feeling and come to check. I didn't know how intelligent she was either. She did seem to have a good intuition, but she was also a bit of a klutz. There was also the fact that she'd been eliminated from the previous game due to some kind of strange corruption. Maybe she didn't have a chance to reveal that she'd possessed a guardian. That meant the most likely candidates for the crow were Rikako-san, Kaori-san, and the old wolf guy. What was most important here, though, was if those with guardians would be the exact same as last time. Yes, this is the big question. Because this is gonna change how how all our thinking goes forward. If they were, I'd have this feast in the bag. If, to use an extreme example, I went and silently took out Yasunaga-kun and Tai-san, I'd probably fall victim to the corruption, but the human side would win. Of course, the participants were different this time, so it wasn't guaranteed that we'd get the same guardians. But if Great Lord Shinai or whatever picked them, and, if Great Lord Shinai or whatever picked them had some sort of qualifications for his chosen, the addition of outsiders, which, sorry, is that written correctly? If Great Lord Shinai or whatever picked them had some sort of qualification. If the Great Lord or whatever picked them had some sort of qualifications for if the Great Lord Shanai... I get what it's saying. Sorry. If the Great Lord or whatever who picked them had some sort of qualifications for was chosen, the addition of outsiders would change nothing. Something like that? Sorry. Maybe that's correct and I'm going crazy. But I understand what it's saying. On the other hand, if our participation could change the Guardian assignments, was it random? Or was there some kind of pattern? Whichever it was, it would mean there was no higher will intent on giving Guardians to specific people. Whatever the case, it would help getting closer to the truth behind the feast. If I found out the rules behind the Guardian distribution, I could probably win without trying to read people's minds. The only problem was my whole looping thing. Nobody would believe me if I told them. I couldn't blame them. If I went and said, "This is how it went last time, so you're the wolf this time," everyone would think I was nuts. I had to look at this as nothing but a source of extra info to use to my advantage. And of course, I couldn't sleep. What would happen to me if I spent the whole night awake? Was someone watching me? Did they know I wasn't sleeping? Would they come to kill me? That line of thinking made me feel like I was being watched. What about the locals? They already had the mists and the feast to fear. Could they sleep soundly? I knew the old stories said they should be able to, but...
兄ちゃん、春も幸せにして。
There was something wrong with the people of Yasumizu. They were normal in regular circumstances, no total idiots anywhere, and not all of them seemed like the sort to lose themselves in superstitious ramblings. However, certain situations seemed to act as a trigger, turning them completely irrational. The absolute, extreme fear of the mist. The complete submission to the quote-unquote real story. The lack of aversion toward hanging people. Was that all part of the feast? If so, what kind of psychological systems were at work here? I couldn't understand. Things I couldn't understand scared me. Was there a limit to the extent I couldn't comprehend? What if it was just a huge, never-ending downward spiral of irrationality? If that was the case, it'd be pretty damn scary. What? Okay, it's a bit early, but I think this could be an appropriate time to stop. We finished the day, had a little amusing catfight to watch, and we had our recap. So I think this is a good place to stop, and next time we will jump into our first feast, I think. Man, imagine if we end up getting a guardian. I mean, I'm not sure it'll go down this way, but imagine a scenario where we get something like the spider. Imagine we get to the end of the day, and then instead of something like 2 or 3 choices, we get all the villagers, and we get to choose who to protect. That would be crazy. I think that's a bit too ambitious. I don't think the game's gonna do that, because, you'd have to write a scenario for every single choice, and I think that would probably be too much, but it's fun to think about. Yeah. Okay. Yes, so I want you all to be ready for next time, because we're getting into the thick of it, I think. Okay, I've been The Worm, this has been Raging Loop, and I hope to see you next time. Stay well.